So the birthday people that took birthday cakes. And I thank Patrick here for asking me to come out here tonight and lead this meeting. What an honor and privilege, really, truly is to be a part of this fellowship, be a part of Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't feel that way, when I first got here. Just to give you a little brief, my sobriety date is November the 1st, 1999. My home group is the Tuesday night irregulars group, Los Amigos at 8:30 in Montebello. And I've been doing that for the last 23 years. If I stay sober a couple more weeks, I will celebrate 24 years. Whoever would have thought, 23 years ago, I was sitting in the garage and I was contemplating taking my life, and I looked at a beam and I thought to myself, the air that I was breathing, this is how low I felt. I thought the air that I was breathing was probably better suited for somebody else. I didn't even deserve the air that I was breathing. That's how low I felt. And I asked God to either take me or save me. And, he was quick to answer my prayer, because an hour and a half later, I was busted in the back of a sheriff's squad car, for the 5th time. And I was on my way to to jail. And I was in the backseat of that car, and I had given, by this time I had memorized my brother's social security, height, weight, address, and all that good stuff, because I was already had a warrant, I had a warrant, and I had 4 other cases, and I absconded from the 4th, and I was on probation on the 3rd, and, one more just meant I was automatically going to do 2 years on a joint suspension, and then whatever else they would tack on top of that. And so I was sitting in the back of the car, and I was telling them my name was Juan Ruiz, and I lived here and there, and they're like, Miss Ruiz, they say, it's your first time, you'll get drug diversion. I had already gotten all that stuff, a long time ago. And as I'm riding towards the 3rd Street jail there, holding cell, so I get that tap on the shoulder. I was like, hey, fool, you just asked me to help you out a minute ago. And, here you are, you're just trying to get out of it one more time. And I copped to it, I said, no, this is who I am. And that sort of started my journey, That sort of, one more time, because, I'd been trying to get sober for prior to that, the 5 years. I've been to a few rehabs. I don't know how many times I got, counting time, a little rhino time we call it, right? 30 days, whatever, and they kick you out. And, but this time, this time I was looking at real prison time. I was going to be a hardened criminal. And they offered me, they said, the DA's going to, wants 5 years. And I told the public defender, that just do whatever you want with me. I just don't know how to live life. I've been to AA, I've done AA, or I went to meetings because I was forced to. I went to rehabs. I went to a Christian home and I found Jesus, and 6 months into that residential treatment program that I had to be there locked in there. I found weed. I thought, well, if I smoke a little weed, I'll be able to preach a little better. And all these grand thoughts and stuff like that. None of it ever worked. So I just didn't think that Alcoholics Anonymous or anything in recovery would ever work for me. But I later on found out that I was just I wasn't willing. I wasn't willing to do what was asked of here. I'd like to thank my sponsor here, Xavier. He's been sponsoring me for some years now. And my friend Gabriel here that came from my home group. And I just if you're new, I want to encourage you to find that home group. That has been the key for me. That has been the key that has stopped the insanity. And get committed. I call this man on a regular basis. We talk, we communicate. And it's not to call it to dump on stuff, although I did that for years, I think, But, I called to say hello. Like, I have to see how he's doing, and we just have this relationship. And it's not just him. I call other men in Alcoholics Anonymous for the same reason, just to see how their day's going, I'll tell you, I get sober. I end up at a drug treatment program, and I end up at a residential program, and I'm sitting there, and the judge ordered me for 6 months or something like that. And I met my sponsor, my first sponsor. He's since passed away. His name was Mario Gamboa. The man saved my life. He came into that meeting that night. It was like a recovery house, and we would set up the meeting, and the guys from Los Amigos would go there. And all I ever wanted was to do what they did, was to go to a rehab and then leave. For me, it was always like I went to a rehab and I ended up getting stuck there. 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, And so all I ever wanted to was leave. So they gave me hope. These guys gave me hope. And to this day, some of the men have passed, and they were very influential in who I am today. One of the guys, George Ramos, passed away a few years ago. he gave me my first resentment. My sponsor at the time, I was in rehab and I was about to graduate rehab, you know, the graduation. And so he tells me, he goes, I'm taking you on this retreat. And I was like, oh my God, Mario, you don't understand, man. I've been on retreat for 10 years. Last thing I need is a retreat. And he told me, he goes, well, I'm not asking you that. I'm telling you, going on a retreat. You know, and I lied to him because I had some money. I was already hustling some side work. And I told him I didn't have any money to pay. And he says, no problem, I'm going to pay for it. And so, anyways, I end up on this retreat. I've been doing this retreat every year for 23 years, twice a year. You know, and I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, there was a point in time like where that retreat would come out. I was like, oh shit, retreat, here it comes again. You know, I gotta go to this retreat. But now it's different. You know, today it's different. You know, I get to go on this retreat. You know, I get to fellowship. I get to get away from all that life and all the responsibility down here, and just hang out with a bunch of alcoholic men. You know. Anyway, you know, I got married. I got sober, and about a year and a half later, I met my wife. I didn't know she was going to be my wife. You know, I met my wife, and we got married in 2004. We also started our business in 2004. And if we stay together till February, you know, we've been in business for 20 years. We've been married for 20 years, and we've had 2 kids. Now, I got to Alcoholics Anonymous with 0, nothing. The shirt on my back, and the shirt on my back said, property of LA County, and the boxer said LA County, and the pants said LA County, and the slippers at the time they used to be black slippers, and everything said LA County. That's when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't wear jewelry. I didn't have chains, and the only chains that I wore, you know, were ones that the cops put behind my back. You know, those are the chains I came in with. You know, so. You know, we've been married for 20 years, and I gotta tell you, it hasn't been easy. It's one of the most difficult things that I've had to do is grow up. Truly grow up, you know, and it's funny, before I came out here, my wife said, make sure you slow down, make sure you do this, and make sure you do this and that. I'm like, man, you got it, man. Anyway, you know, she's just been this key player in my life, you know, she's been my whole life, really. I asked God to put a woman in my life, and then he puts her in my life, and then 6 months later, I asked him, are you sure this is the one? Because I don't know. It's like the one I was thinking about. It's like the one I had in my head, you know? But she's definitely the, you know, and it's been a struggle. It hasn't been easy. It's been 20 years of like, you know, she married me. I was like, you know, I was so new to Alcoholics Anonymous and so new to sobriety. Like, I effed everything up for the next 15 years. Everything I did was wrong. Everything I did. And she was quick to let me know. To the point where she's like, you know, where she said, you know, I can't do this anymore. About 4 years ago, she told me that she couldn't do this anymore. She just couldn't do it. And I thought to myself, whatever, man. Like, you know, I got these 20-year-old girls over here, 25-year-old girls that check me out at the gym. I don't need you. You know, pride and ego got in there right away, man. You know, the enemy was ready to separate, you know, divide and conquer, right? What God did, the enemy was ready to just lay it to waste, you know, business, the family. You know, and I, you know, in that moment, because my first thought is always the one that's screwed up. The first thought I have is always it's my thinking. It's the first thought that always gets in trouble. The second one is God. You know, unfortunately, that's the way it still is for me. You know, but what I've learned here in Alcoholics Anonymous is not to act on that first thought. So, you know, she marries me, and you know, we've been married now. We have 2 kids. I came in here, I didn't have any kids. Didn't even think I wanted kids. I was 31 years old when I got sober. I didn't think family life and the 2.5 kids and the house and the picket fence and all that. I just didn't. That wasn't me. You know, I was a liar, cheat, and a thief. You know, and you know what? Today, I have a house with a white picket fence, and I've had it for the last 24 years or 23 years. You know. And not that the picket fence means anything. I think it's more of a metaphor or whatever it is. You know? In fact, I was repairing it today. Now, a picket fence only lasts so long. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what sobriety is. You know, if you don't maintain your sobriety and the spiritual condition, if I don't maintain my sobriety and go to meetings and participate in retreats, you know, call my sponsor, you know, just recently, I've been privileged to sponsor somebody, and I tell you the truth, it's because of him that I'm here tonight. God used this man in his infinite wisdom to kind of get me here tonight, because this guy took me to a meeting on Monday night, and I met Patrick. And I said, it's just all God's will. It's not my will. It's just God's will. You know, and so these are the things that I do today. You know, and I'll tell you, I used to worry about finances and money and where am I going to get my next job and how am I going to pay payroll and how am I going to pay workers' comp and the general liability and all these other insurance. Now, mind you, before I got to AA, I had no bills. You know, I was on GR, you know, and I'd been on GR for a while. And, you know, today it's not like that. You know, today I'm overpaid. I'm definitely overpaid. You know, I thank Alcoholics Anonymous. I thank the guys like, is it Rick? Who took the cake for 33 years. Old timers, you know? Old timers still, despite the fact that they've been here as long as they still show up to meetings, you know? And that is why I still come. You know, because I still have to come to meetings. I have to come to meetings because I suffer from a disease that centers in my head. It's my thinking that's broken. I don't have a problem with alcohol or drugs. I gave that up a long time ago. Drugs and alcohol are not my problem today. I have a living problem. I have a spiritual battle that I trust you, God, but I'll take this one back. I'm not ready to give you this one. I'm always negotiating with God, you know, like a stockbroker, you know. And I always lose, you know. I always bankrupt at the end, you know. I'll tell you what happened today. So today I get up, you know, regular routine and stuff like that. I go to Home Depot and I'm picking up all this lumber. Long story short, I smashed my finger. Right? And it hurt, man. I mean, shit. I was like, oh, fuck. And I just thought, I said, I could let this little stupid thing ruin my day. I can just thank God and move on. And that's exactly what I did. You know, and that's just one little thing, you know, because there's a lot of things in life that have happened to me, or life has happened, it's just shown up. And today I deal with those problems a little different. You know, I don't let it ruin my day, and I try not to let it ruin my relationship with my kids. You know, I'll tell you, I didn't go to jail. I mean, I didn't go to Yale. You know, I went to jail, and yet, despite all that, you know, I was able to send my daughter to college this year. You know, her first year of college, and believe me, I tried everything to, you know, other than to like not pay for it. Like to not have her go to college, you know, because like who needs college? That's just a trap. It's a money thing. All this insecurity, my insecurity, right? And I even made her an offer. I said, listen, if you don't go to college and you go to PCC over here, and I'll buy you a brand new car and you go to work, save your money, get you out of debt and everything. And she was wanting to answer me. I asked her to think about it for a few days. And when I went to talk to her a few days later, I asked her. I said, so what do you think? She goes, Dad, I already paid my first semester of college. I was like, no. You know, God's will, right? God's will. You know, my fears and my insecurities, you know, because honestly, I didn't think I could ever put anybody through college. I didn't think I could afford it or whatever. I don't know. Fear. I didn't go to college, so you're not going to go to college, right? Thank God she's smarter than me, you know, and that's where I'm at, you know, and I'm just, you know, I'm very humbled, you know, these days, and you know, I've got some employees that have been with me a long time, you know, and I've got this one that's a knucklehead, and you know, he tests my, you know, patience and tolerance and all that good stuff. But the guy works. You know, the guy works. It just doesn't work the way I'd like him to work. But you know, he works, and I don't know. I feel like, you know, I think the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is giving me such a structure in my life. You know, that everything I do is a direct result of this faith that I have developed, you know, the spiritual faith. And I say this all the time, this is not a religious program. You want religion, go to church, you know. But this is Alcoholics Anonymous, and I do believe that it is 100% spiritual, you know. And that's what I have found here. I found a trust in God, and I tell you, it's not easy to trust. It's easy to believe in God, but it's hard to trust, you know, especially when things aren't going your way, you know. And that's when I have to lean in on Him more, because it's not God or the devil or whatever, you know, doing these things. It's just life happening. It's how I react to these situations that has made the difference, you know. And I'll tell you, I was driving out here and I was running a little late. I was a little cocky. I'm actually doing a job right at the street from here. So I said, I'll get there in 15 minutes. You know? I'm usually driving without the traffic and everything. And as I got on my car, and I was leaving at 6:30, you know. And as I got on my car, the GPS said I wouldn't get to it until 7. I was like, oh, shit. So I got on the fast lane. I jumped in on the fast lane. And some car behind me, I don't know, they just started like high flashers on me, you know, and get out of the fucking fast lane. I don't even know how I saw it. It was just one person in the fast lane, right? I took a chance, you know. But what I'm getting at is, look, man, 23 years sober, and I'm still fucking breaking the law, you know. I ain't not too bad. I ain't wrapped too tight. But you know, I wanted to be here on time, man. I didn't want to be here late. I didn't want to set a bad example. That's, you know, anyway, you know, it's just a privilege and an honor to be here, and I really do. You know, I really want to encourage the newcomer. You know, and I know when I was new, I heard all this that I'm saying. I heard people telling it to me, and I just thought it wasn't for me. You know, and that's because I just didn't trust in the process. You know, here's the thing. I had a guy recently, you know, said that he tells me he's a newcomer. I hit him up about, you know, sponsorship and everything else. He goes, you know what? I just don't take direction well. I don't like taking direction. And I looked at him and I thought, I said, no, I think you take direction really well. I said, from what you shared, you know, and all that misery that you're in and shit, you're listening to somebody. You're just listening to the wrong person. You know, and so, you know, and that's really what it boils down to. You know, I had to take direction, and you know, my sponsor asked me to work a 4-step, and you know, my other sponsor said, if anybody ever asks you if you worked the 4-step, just tell them you worked it. That's what he told me, and I was like, I rode that for like 10 years, you know. And you know, I was asked to do a 4-step, you know, and I did a 4-step with them, you know, and so, you know, the step work is key. You know, the key. We just talked about Monday night, step 10. You know, continue to take personal inventory when I was wrong, promptly admit it. That's a big one for me, you know, because I'm constantly messing up. You know, and really, it's my mouth that gets me in trouble. It's my thought, and then if I let that thought come out of my mouth, then I'm in trouble. You know, as long as I keep the thought over here and not act on it, I'm fine. You know, but a lot of times I just let my ego get in the way, and it's happened. It happens less today. I'll tell you, it's some growth. I look at it, wow, man, I'm finally fucking going. I'll tell you, I'll share this last thing, and then my wife. The hardest part to work the program with is my wife. You know, it's just, you know, when we got married, you know, like I said, I was a year and a half sober. I never really got to know her. You know, we started a business and started having kids. I treated her like an employee. All those years, I treated her like an employee. You know, and it's funny because we have a corporation, right? So I'm the CEO, of course, and she's the secretary. Yeah. I shared that the other night. I shared that with my sponsor. You know, her title, right? Not the secretary, but the title. And she's not happy with that. She hasn't been happy with that for years. So, you know, I was brought to my attention that you know, she could be something else like the CFO. You know what I mean? But I like to call her my secretary. You know, I still like to. You know, I'm just mean-spirited, man. The truth is, I'm mean-spirited. That's the truth, man. You know, and this woman doesn't deserve me, or I should say, I don't deserve her. No way, she doesn't deserve me. But anyway, well, I was going with this. I forgot. You know, I tell you, my wife has been a big part of my sobriety, and you know, the blessing. It's just been a blessing, you know, to be a part of this thing. And you know, I'm not. You know, I'm not excited to, you know, you stay sober, you come to meetings, and you're going to get older, and you're going to celebrate birthdays. I'm not really like, it's not that I'm not excited to celebrate my birthday coming up, but I'm not excited to get any older, I'll be honest with you. When I came in young, I'm still young, I still feel like I'm young, but I see, you know, I get to witness people that have been here a long time, you know, and God willing, you know, I'll be here doing the same thing. A good friend of ours, you know, we call him the Big Kahuna. He goes, yeah, one day you'll see me in the back of the room chewing on my tongue, you know. I hope that I can live to be that old, you know, sit in the back of the room and chew on my tongue and still be able to leave alcohol. So if you're new or relatively young, I encourage you to keep coming back, find that sponsor, make a commitment to yourself. Really, it's an investment in you. You know, I mean, I you know, since I did that, I stopped smoking recently. Just something I did. Doesn't say anything. This is nothing to do with Alcoholics Anonymous, but the same principles I apply them in other things. You know, I changed my diet and my habits, and I started, you know, taking more physical exercise and working out, and taking care of myself physically. You know, and all those things is a direct result of the discipline that I learned here in Alcoholics Anonymous. I could do anything. I can run my company. I can be in a marriage. I can raise my kids. I can take care of myself. You know. And for that, I'll be forever grateful. Thank you for letting me share.